Job, you've been working with this tool, the 4 Quadrants of Change, for general reflection on the general strategy and also for further strategy development, but it has also supported your work on the gender policy with the ACOFOP people, of course, and the reflections on the position of women within the ACOFOP structures, in the work processes, but also in the economic activities that ACOFOP promotes or that are undertaken in the context of ACOFOP's strategy. Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yes, when we started the work already, ACOFOP had a strategic plan in which some of activities for women and with women were included, but like it happens sometimes, the strategic plans, well, some of the parts don't have all that much coherence. So also again with the structure of the 4 Quadrants of Change, we identified 2 areas that were not only important to women, but also were areas that were not very threatening in the first place to the men, and that could strongly help also the performance and the structure of the local organizations and ACOFOP. So those were 2 areas mainly that all the local organizations have boards of directors and certain other positions of responsibility in different committees. And well, women were underrepresented, and well, as I mentioned, a lot of the older people were both older, not all that open to change, and used to different cultures where they were more or less untouchable, in their decision making. So, and also because, well, a lot of the younger men were more inclined to leave the area, and the women were more inclined to stay. Now it was clear that a much larger participation in women in the decision-making processes in all the organizations was both in their interest, and they were interested, as well as in the interest of the organization, because of course they need good quality direction and management by people who really take an interest in doing so, and not just their own interest, and by people who have some time to do so.
Yeah.
So with specific training program and promotion, we have the participation of women in the positions of authority is increasing at the local organization level.
Yeah. And the second?
The second part was the employment and the income generation and the participation of women in that. One thing that was felt also in relation to what we talked about, the family structure, that working in the forests, working in tropical rainforests, is physically demanding, hard work that requires persons to be away from home for a long time, both because of the physical part and because of being away from the home. That is not something the woman or married woman with children can do. But we found, with investigation on the different processes, that there were some parts in all the processing, especially in the areas of the berries and the leaves, that there was a lot of work that not necessarily had to be done in the forest and not necessarily required a very strong physical performances. So the processes were reorganized so that the parts of the process that could be done in the villages by the women were done there. Now, for instance, the cutting and selection of leaves that would later be used to make flower arrangements. Now that can be done right where the trees are, where they are cut, but it can also be done by tossing the bundles of leaves in a small truck, which is there anyway, and take it out of the forest and doing that in the home. And doing that, of course, there was an additional added value for the women, that because they were involved in that process, they would also start to handle more of the commercial relation with the clients who would come to buy and pick up the products. We checked a few times on that, and it was very surprising, how the women who were working and managing, the collection and the processing were very much aware of the whole value chain of the product and why the clients were demanding what they were demanding. The clients would explain, well, we sell these products 2 days away, it has to go by plane. Obviously leaves are not eternal, so there are 4 or 5 days to transport it and to sell it. So if the transportation takes 4 days longer, nobody can buy it because the leaves will be
not fresh anymore.
Will not be fresh anymore before they reach the market.
Okay, so in using the 4 quadrants of change model in a general strategic reflection process also helps you to get inputs for developing a gender strategy.
I see.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Job.
Okay.
Job, in the context of doing this action research on power in MSPs, you've been using a specific tool that is called the 4 Quadrants of Change, the tool that was developed by Wilbur. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you've used it and why you found it useful?
Yes, it was very useful because it really helped people who in general have not a very, very low level of education to systematize a little bit their experiences and their plans. So what we did was, on the basis also in the first phase of investigation, on the basis of some of the questions that were of interest to ACOFOP as an association and the people in the local organizations, we had some more or less rather freewheeling discussions, where we tried to find some identification of problems plus some freewheeling ideas about, well, what could be done, or what should be done, to improve the situation in the area of empowerment, especially, but not only in empowerment. Then, in the second phase, we used the 4 quadrants of change to develop clear and coherent strategy out of the whole big amount of ideas and proposals that were developed. As you can see here, we also used some of the keywords that were used during the previous discussions. The 4 quadrants of change is, well, of course it has 4 quadrants or 4 squares, which are divided between, on the left side, the individual and the collective issues, and on the top side, the interior, what is inside one or in an organization or a group, and the exterior. Now, for instance, in the individual and the interior, we felt it was important, which is the psychological aspects of a person. Know that in a first phase, the self-confidence of the people to develop and express their ideas was to be developed. Another area that was found important within person is to have discipline. A lot of people who have not had a job, to say it like that, sometimes find it hard to adapt to a job where they are expected to show up between 8 and 5 or do at least a certain type of job and do it well every day. Then after that there are the interpersonal relations, where we found that especially the women that were part of the process put a great deal of importance on the family relations. This is in Guatemala and in rural areas. It is especially important because there is a lot of movement, exportation of people to the United States from the area. A lot of the younger people want to go to the city, and they don't want to stay in the more isolated rural areas. So that is a source of preoccupation. Conflict management also is important. On the other hand, in the collective area, we can talk about community values. Some of the community values are conducive to change, but in a lot of cases also, they are very conservative. They come out of the past, and it's also always very difficult to discuss which part of culture can really be kept when there is economic and other development, and which part will change. Well, there is the openness to change is important to develop in the communities. And then in the fourth area, there is what called structures and systems. Once these processes are underway, it is important that they find the right rules and regulations to be working with. In that area, we were not starting from nothing, because the ACOFAP structure with the regional association and 15 local community organizations was already in place.
Yeah. And can you say that using this tool has helped in developing further the strategy of ACOFAP or deepening the strategy of ACOFAP?
Yes, very much so, very much so. No, because the people that tend, when they are ACOFAP and they work on the second level, their orientation tends to be in that area. But when you come up with certain objectives, that are the ones that are the basis for strategies, you very quickly find that things that have to be done are not just in the structural or in the legal area. But very often that's already been arranged. And we actually found in our cases that for the objective, this area was well developed already. Well developed and relatively appropriate. In the rules and regulations, we found no policies or procedures that would go against the participation of women. Not so much either in favor of that, but the policies were there to. Yeah. That other programs, such the programs for self-confidence, could take place. Yeah. Yeah. So, and also, what it is important to find the relations between culture and other areas. For instance, one problem that had already been detected by ACOFAP is that in a village culture there is very much a structure of village elders and other people who have learned or have lived without much of a formal rule and regulation. And some of these people, when they took positions of responsibilities in the local organizations, they had the impression that they could more or less do whatever they wanted. They wanted to hire somebody from their family for a certain position. They would do so. Yeah. So that was hey, well, you're the boss, but the rules are there for you as well. You can't do that without approval. You can't do that without knowing whether the funds are there. Yeah. So there are a lot of interrelations between the four areas.